After all this time, it's finally here. The next entry in the Skate franchise, Skate 4. I mean, just Skate. I was lucky enough to make it into early access for Skate, and I definitely have some thoughts to share with you all. But first, let me give you a little background. Some of you may already know that I've been a skateboarder for most of my life. I am super deep into the culture and world of skateboarding. I got my first skateboard when I was around 6 years old. Picture this, a tiny Skelly walks into a skate shop. Tinier Skelly. I walk in and it is just a wonderland of cool stuff. I walk my silly self up to the front and I get to pick all the parts for my new board. Everything from wheels, bearings, trucks, grip tape, the deck. And once I pointed out all the cool things I wanted, the nice employee went ahead and put it all together for me. We make our way to the skate park and I am nervous, but excited. I run into the park and there I was, on top of a ramp that felt like a mountain. I dropped the board down, planted my foot, and dropped in. My heart was racing, but I was tearing it up down the ramp. I'm zooming down this thing at what felt like light speed at the time, and before I know it, I've already cleared the whole ramp. I made it to the bottom, but then I kept going. And before I could even realize, I was already heading up the next ramp. Without enough speed to crest over the top, slowly start to roll backwards. Not cool. With no experience rolling fakie or any experience at all for that matter, all my weight starts to shift forward and the board slips out and boom! I faceplant into concrete. As I pull myself up, I realize my nose is rushing with blood. Pretty gnarly. At this point, I pull off my own sock and I push it to my nose to try to catch as much as I can. After that, I'm immediately yoinked and rushed home, and I had tears all over my face. I was a mess, which you can't blame. This is not what I imagined after playing the Tony Hawk games, but maybe I should have. All I know now is that skating in real life hurts a lot more. As I grow up, I'm still surrounded by skate culture, Tony Hawk games. It was everywhere. But then 2007 rolls around. I am immediately obsessed with this game. It's really hard at first, and these new kind of controls aren't something I'm used to. Everything about it just felt cool. I am playing this game non-stop after school every day. It would call to me like the Green Goblin mask. Already so interested in skating at this time, and this game just really took that fixation and amped it up to 11. And what this game does is it motivates me to get back on the board, get myself out there, and really give skating a shot. And all these years later, even after that insanely painful first experience, I am still skating all the time. And something else I'm doing even in the Big 25 is playing, well, skate. As I mentioned before, I was extremely lucky and got into the early access for Skate, and it's been incredibly fun. Just like anyone else who played the Skate games before, it's been a long wait for me. I absolutely bombed my way through the tutorial, and immediately we are thrust into the new map, San Amsterdam. The new map is a sprawling urban environment with plenty to do and plenty to see. I personally have already been playing this game so much. I mean, I already have around 40 hours in this game at the time of writing, and I don't plan to stop anytime soon. While there's plenty to see in this new map, what we really need to talk about is what there is to skate and how that skating feels. So far, the skating feels smooth and new yet familiar. I felt right at home and knew how to play. Although I did pick the classic control scheme, and there are other options for newer players if you want a more streamlined experience. Like I said, it felt like home, yet so much was new. The moment-to-moment gameplay is pretty much exactly how we remember it. You know what I mean? You got your classic flick controls and analog steering, and everything about that is pretty much the same. You use the triggers to control grabs and other tricks like that, just how you remember. You might be thinking to yourself, well, if all you've said is that it's familiar, then what's new? And now you're thinking, how did you know that I was thinking that? I'm in your head, silly. And to answer your first question, other than the new map and mission system, more on that later. A new system that I find exciting is the new parkour mechanics that have been introduced with this game. When you're off your board, there's definitely a lot more to do. Apart from being able to just walk around, you have everything from climbing to jumping to doing flips and even whatever this is. The new parkour stuff is pretty fun and has a surprising amount of depth to it. It also flows extremely well with skating, and the two go hand in hand pretty often. You can climb buildings, swing around, jump off of buildings, do cool flips, jump off of buildings, then do cool flips. Overall, it's a wicked new addition, and as far as the early access is concerned, not everything has been added to it yet, so I can't wait to see what kind of new parkour moves / mechanics they add next to spice things up. Let's go back to what we're really here for, skateboarding. Like I mentioned before, the gameplay is very similar to older games in the franchise. There are some subtle changes and things here and there that make it feel just a lot smoother. I can't really describe why it feels so much smoother. You're just gonna have to trust me on this. The movement, flow, and overall feel of Skate is just clean. I can only imagine it'll get better as development continues. At least, that's the hope. Everything from grinds, gaps, to just barreling off of massive structures is super satisfying in this game. I personally just really enjoy how the game feels, and I've spent a lot of time just goofing around with it, having a bunch of fun and trying to master certain spots. But what do I do when I need a bit more direction? After all, Skate is a game with a story. Or is it? The new mission system in Skate is pretty cool. There's a bit of story here, nothing spectacular, but kind of interesting. I do appreciate some of the cool things here and there, like the inclusion of Shingo, for example, from the previous Skate game, and kind of explaining their role in this new game. Given that Shingo used to be the cameraman in Skate 3, they kind of set this character up to be the one who created these new AI camera bot drone things, with the intention of making sure no footy is ever lost. It's a pretty cute way to include the character and show their passion for skateboarding and making sure everybody gets out there and films cool stuff, right? Little things like that in the writing are super fun, but we'll get to the writing more a bit later. For now, let's just talk about the missions, okay? The missions in Skate are a mix of daily rotating missions, missions for story, or missions just to progress a certain region in the map. Personally, I really like the inclusion of rotating missions. These missions swap out and rotate on a daily basis, and it gives me something new to look forward to every time I log in. Nothing too fancy, but it's enough to stay interested. These missions are very similar to the ones found in previous Skate games. You have sessions to score big, spots to absolutely own, and lines to follow in your own way. And of course, Hall of Meat. I do want to mention as a kind of side note here that without the inclusion of Thrasher or even the little X-ray system that would happen when you would hit or slam pretty hard, it kind of removes a bit of the charm, I guess, from the older Skate games. In Skate, the Hall of Meat sections are renamed to stunts, and they are treated as a kind of VR simulation in universe, to where it explains in a way why you don't get hurt doing it, but I don't think there ever needed to be an explanation, right? It added to the whimsy and silliness of the world to just have your character absolutely and just get back up like nothing happened. Call me crazy, but something about the x-rays and watching the bones crack and boom and shatter was really fun. And maybe it is crazy, but with some of those things missing and even just renaming the activity to stunts rather than Hall of Meat removes some of that grounded skater charm that was in the original games. I will say that as a whole, a lot of this missing charm carries into the rest of Skate. Some things are still pretty cool and cute, but I will say I do not enjoy this AI companion we have in place of Shingo or Retta. This new AI companion has some funny moments and writing, but for the most part it does feel a little plain.
You are not out of bounds. Yes. Just saying.
It does feel a bit ironic that this AI companion talks so much, given the fact that in the beginning of Skate 3, Retta specifically says to Shingo,
"The most important thing, don't talk too much." Okay.
a lot of the cracks in the writing start to show. Anything from cringe dialogue to just completely out of touch sounding statements just really feel kind of out of place.
Verified grindage.
It's the little things like that that just make me feel like, back it up, like we don't need to do all this. Going back to the quote-unquote story that this game has, let's talk a bit about how it's laid out. In the early game, you have a few tutorials to do. It's a bit on rails at first, but you get let free pretty fast. Throughout the main mission segments of the game, you are guided through each region or hood by effectively a tour guide character that will show you neat spots, have little missions for you, and just generally give you stuff to do in each area to get you acquainted with the game and its world. Each area is distinct, has a different representative character, and its own unique vibe to it.
Scintillating sky piloting. Can you see your house from up here?
And I will say, as plain as some of the moments felt, these missions do take you to some killer spots that maybe I wouldn't have found on my own, or at least not as soon as I did doing the missions. Although as a side tangent, I did find some pretty interesting spots using the new parkour climbing mechanics, and it's really cool to see that the parkour is being utilized in a way to where the map can have more variety. Skate parks on rooftops, ramps that jump off of roofs, things like that, that kind of incentivize the player to use the climbing to find new things to do. And like I said, I've already found some pretty cool spots on my own, even if the way I got there wasn't exactly conventional. All in all, the parkour does add some cool variety to where the developers can throw skate spots and cool things to find. And going back to these story-related missions, they can be pretty fun, and they're not as simple or straightforward as some of the daily missions and things like that. A really memorable one for me was one where I had to climb all the way up this massive skyscraper just to jump off of it into a pool and air out. Little things like that are pretty fun and memorable.
The Dax will dig the footy. That was nuts, and they ain't allergic.
I've always appreciated that kind of balance that the skate games have been able to strike for so many years. And what I mean by that, if you're wondering, is the kind of balance between realism and goofy, silly, fun time silliness. The new skate game is no exception to this, and I mean that in the most positive way. It is right on that line of grounded gameplay where you can recreate iconic tricks or even let you come up with these fun skate sim style lines that recreate things that are more obtainable in reality. As someone who skates in real life, that is just as fun to me as bombing off a giant building into a super mega ramp ultra style crazy mode. And just as much as the gameplay can provide this kind of realistic skate sim experience at times, it is just as much capable of the arcadey fun that you might remember from Skate 3 and going through those gigantic mega parks and stuff. I enjoy the missions that are plopped around the map, and it's very easy to go from mission to mission and end up sinking hours into them. But other than the experiences we make and generally just having a good time, why do we do missions? Well, for the reward. of course. The rewards per mission are a mix of XP for your player level, currency to use in the shop, and some rep for the different regions in the game. You can level up each one individually depending where you do the mission. If you do a mission in Goldcrest, then you'll get rep for Goldcrest. But what we'll talk about for now is some of that dough they give you to use in those skate shops. The skate shops and the way cosmetics are earned in this game are a talking point that I really want to get into, so let's do that. The way cosmetics are earned is definitely pretty strange, and it's not my favorite way that it's been handled. Let's just say that much. I mean, in the brand new Skate, we earn cosmetics in everyone's favorite way. Loot boxes. As much as I love gambling and getting some killer fits, I do not agree with the loot box mechanic, and it feels weirdly misplaced. And considering this is the primary way to earn new parts for your board or drip for your character, it's like it can be pretty frustrating and weird as a mechanic. And in my opinion, the weirdest thing about it is that it is fully earned with in-game currency. You can't buy it with real money. These loot boxes are earned strictly through playing the game, which might sound good, but it only confuses me more. And on top of that, there are no repeated items, which also sounds good, but we'll get to it. You can go through a box which has around 10, 11, 15 items, nothing too big, and if you open it 10 times, you'll get all 10 items. This sounds pretty fair, but it makes me wonder why loot boxes are even a thing in the first place. The reason loot boxes exist is to get the player to spend real money for the chance of getting the thing they actually want. You don't get it most of the time, so you spend more money. Bear with me for a second, this is a bad thing, but to at least try to understand why this makes sense is the fact that there is something to gain for the developers and publishers of these games, because when people don't get what they want, they have to spend more money. But let's go back to Skate for a second. These loot boxes are earned with in-game currency. There's no repeated items. You will always get what you want eventually. So why do it? Other than the slight thrill of gambling, there's nothing really fun or convenient or even rewarding about this process. You can have a box with 10 items and only one thing you want, and you end up having to open it 10 times and spend all your hard-earned credits for no reason. This doesn't benefit EA, and this doesn't benefit the player. At this point, if the items are earnable with in-game currency, just give us a shop where we can buy the items, make the more interesting things more expensive, and then make the simpler things cheaper. That way I can grind out 1,000 coins or V-Bucks or whatever it's called to get the item that I want. Even if the item costs a lot, at least I know that what I'm grinding for I will be able to get if I just earn this many credits. And none of this is to say that I want them to charge for loot boxes. Let me get that straight. I just think that this is a weird way to go about it, and it just forces the player to grind out a bunch of unnecessary items for the chance that they get the thing they want. And don't get me wrong, it is gambling at the end of the day, and I have won big in a sense. There's a box where I wanted these shoes, for example. I opened one box and got the shoes, and then I didn't have to touch it anymore. That's cool, I guess, but it doesn't always happen, and it actually rarely happens, if anything. But to bring it back towards the idea of progression and how that works in this game, you essentially shred some gnar, skate some areas, earn cred in that area, open the loot box themed to that area, hoping you get the item. If not, rinse and repeat until you get what you're looking for. Another mechanic related to loot boxes is the regions leveling system. So the more you skate and do missions in a certain area, that area's reputation will increase. Some loot boxes are only available at level 8, for example, or level 5. So you have to increase your rep in order to be able to open the loot box that you want. And loot box rant aside, there is of course a premium currency that you can use in the shop to buy items outright with real money. These premium currency items are part of bundles or rotating daily, weekly sets of items that you can choose from. Comparatively, these items are reasonably priced, but I'm never happy to see microtransactions. Let's be real. And if anything, with most of these items, I have not been tempted to dump the money out of my wallet. But who knows, maybe one day I'll see that one item or set of items that I'm willing to sell my hard-earned Bionicle collection for. Never. And on top of all that, since this is a multiplayer game, EA is taking full advantage of the idea of FOMO to entice players to want to look as cool as possible for the other players rolling around, but also act fast with their wallets so that they don't miss the rotating items. Because after all, what's more enticing than wearing this and flexing on the lowly default skins in your lobby? Shout out Modern Gaming, am I right? Speaking of multiplayer, let's talk about something more positive. The online aspects of Skate are pretty cool. Players can party up, complete missions together, and get up to some general tomfoolery around the world of Sandmansterdam. It's pretty cool and I'm pretty into it. I really enjoyed the multiplayer inclusions, and it adds a lot of life to the world when you see a bunch of other players just doing their thing, slamming around, skating. It's nice. While I do have issues with the way progression works, the monetization, that's pretty weird. And some other third thing, I do think that all in all, Skate is a really fun and enjoyable game. And mostly, I just can't wait to get into the game with a bunch of friends once it comes out and cause some chaos together. I've already spent hours just on my own, jamming around, doing my thing, and that's a good thing. If I'm still engaged after this amount of time, they're doing something right, just maybe not everything right. I really enjoy climbing things I shouldn't, jumping off of things I shouldn't, seeing things I shouldn't, and overall just having a good old time with the classic formula that is Skate and what made it so popular in the first place. The addicting, consistent, and fun gameplay, the self-motivated challenges that you can do of, hey, maybe I can jump off this building onto this, ramp down onto that, gap through this, you know, those kind of things. And even in this game, I'm still finding myself having that same amount of fun that I used to back when I was younger. But hey, that's not for me to decide whether or not the game will be fun for you. So let me know, are you excited for the new Skate game? Are you having a good time if you got the chance to play it already? Hell, what is your favorite Skate memory in general, whether it's from an older game or if you already had the chance to play the new one? I'd love to hear it, and let's talk in the comments, okay? Anyway, that's all for now. I'll see you later, and don't you dare